Hi, this is Vinod here, and today I'm going to talk about configuration of TACACs for authentication on C9800 controller. It's not really complicated. We are just going to execute 3 steps just to understand the TACACs flow from C9800 perspective. So first, what we will focus is how do we configure TACACs on WLC, which is on C9800 controller. The second, what we will do, we'll configure TACACs settings on iServer, and then once we do the configuration, we'll try to do the testing. We will troubleshoot in case if there is any issue. I will walk through the troubleshooting commands on C9800 controller, as well as how do we troubleshoot on the ICE with the help of TACACs live logs and TCP dump. So before jumping on actual TACACs configuration on WLC and ICE, I want to highlight privilege levels which are specific to C9800 controller, and I would also recommend to refer this particular guide before you're actually going to configure TACACs for GUI and CLI authentication on C9800 controller. I have taken this note from this guide only, where it is very important to understand these privilege level restrictions. So if you see here, the privilege level 0, if you have configured, then you won't get access to the GUI of C9800 controller. If you have configured read-only users with privilege level 1 to 14, you can only view the monitor tab, okay? And that's what you as a read-only user can monitor, or let's say see some options related to radios, related to AAA, related to client summary and all. So that is something you can do by configuring privilege level 1 to 14. Privilege level 15, yes, it will have a full access, or it will be like normally for read-write users. In case you configure privilege level 15 and you want to achieve certain command sets to be allowed, and rest is denied with privilege level 15, then Cisco has highlighted that you would able to do that. However, you can still able to execute all the commands through GUI. So you're not going to restrict users with only certain commands which are part of your command set. User will still able to do the configuration through GUI. So it is really important to understand this when you are trying to do some configuration or custom command sets for user privilege level 15. All right. And this is what I have highlighted here. All right. So let's understand C9800 TACACs configuration flow. It is quite straightforward and very simple. You would configure TACACs server IP address and shared secret, map it to the server group. And once you map it to the server group, what you're going to do is you're going to configure 3 different method lists. One is for authentication, second is for authorization, and third one is for accounting. And map that server group under these 3 different method lists. And once you create that method list, what you're going to do is actually you're going to map that under the VTY line and the HTTPS. And how you're going to do is in the GUI, you got an option as AAA advanced. I'm going to show you that config as well. So this is just a C9800 TACACs configuration on WLC CLI or GUI. How about ICE? So ICE has got, again the same, you got 2 to 3 steps to execute. One is about, adding a WLC network as a network device with the shared secret. Then enabling device admin feature. And once you enable device admin feature, you jump on work center, configure TACACs profile. I'm going to show you this config as well. And once you do this configuration, what you're going to do is you're going to create a policy set. Under the policy set, you're going to have conditions. So condition is like you probably, let's say, added WLC as a part of one of the device group, for example, wireless. So you can create a condition saying that if the device is from wireless group, apply this policy set. Rest, probably, let's say any other device, this policy set is not the correct one to apply. So something like that, you can create a condition. Once you create authentication policy, you jump on authorization policy. What you're going to do there is you're going to create rules. For example, condition, as I explained, you can specify IP address or device group, and shell profile, which I was telling, like, you have created under 3A, the same you would map here under the authorization policy. And after that, you have, certain commands to execute in WLC just to verify whether TACAC is working fine. So first thing, once you log in into the controller, you can see whether that user has got the appropriate privilege. And that's the command. Show privilege will give you details about whether that user is part of 1 to 14 privilege level or 15. Second is about show TACACs. That is to show whether WLC and iServer is able to communicate and it has got RX and TX packet count incrementing accordingly. And third is about test AAA. If you want to do a testing, whether you want to just make sure WLC is talking with ICE and there's no problem, you can definitely execute test AAA command. Show run AAA just to see the configuration of TACACs or a AAA related config. You want to verify, the user session. You can log in into ICE, see the live logs under the TACACs. And if you want to fetch, or let's say want to analyze further on Wireshark, you can create a TCP dump for that particular TACAC session or user login session and just troubleshoot with the help of PCAP file. Okay, so that's it from theory part. All right, let's start our lab now. My TACAC server IP address is 192.168.20.254 and WLC IP address is 192.168.40.124. Now let me log in into the controller. I'm already in. If you see the IP address of controller, it's 192.168.40.124 and 0.124 is my out of band management IP address. If you see TACAC server config, there is nothing. It's only related to radius server configuration. So let's start the TACAC server configuration. So I would configure TACAC server. TACACs server TACAC ICE address IPv4 192.168.20.254 key. This is my key. Now I'll configure server group name. TACAC server group name is TACAC group. Server name, server name. Alright, and now authentication method, AAA authentication login word. The method name is group TACAC group local. Alright, so this is the authentication method. Now let me configure the authorization. Authorization exact name of authorization group TACAC. Group TACAC local if authenticated. Alright, and now I'll configure config commands for authorization. This will allow for a radius TACAC server to validate every command when a user executes. It will actually validate against the authorization method. So I'm going to do that. Authorization, what am I doing here? Authorization, config commands, AAA authorization command 0 and the name of method list. Yeah, TACAC author local if authenticated. Same command with privilege level 1. Second command is about privilege level 15. All right, so this is about authorization. Now let's configure accounting. So accounting start stop group TACAC group accounting command 1, and then default start stop group TACAC group, and then command 15. All right, so that's all what we need to do as a TACAC configuration. Now let's see how it looks in the GUI. So let me get in GUI. Why can't I get in GUI? Let me see. There is anything about HTTP. I think I need to config authentication local. Okay, now I should be able to get in. All right, so let's see AAA config what we did for TACACs. Sorry. So you can see I have configured server IP address, server group. I added the server IP. It's not server IP, actually it is server name. Then I configured authentication method list, authorization method list, and accounting. All right, so I just need to apply now that config under AAA interfaces, which is VTY and HTTP. I haven't done yet. So before that, I want to do the configuration on iServer. So let me do that. So I'll go to the, before doing any config, I need to first make sure I got a device admin role enabled for this ICE, right? So if I see here, I have already enabled it. This is the one. And after that, I need to check if I have got network device added, which I have already added. So as you can see here, my controller 40.124 TACAC shared secret is configured. So everything looks good from AAA client perspective. Now I need to jump on. Okay, before that, let's verify even the external identity store. What I've done is I have actually configured AD as well, just for, you know, getting the end-to-end solution ready. So if you see, I have got a domain controller Active Directory configured here. So let me log in and show you. Sorry. So you can see here I've got two users created. One is part of engineer group, as you can see here. V2SK is my domain, FQDN, and engineer is one of the group I have created, and John Doe is the username who is added under the engineer, who will be working as a admin or read write user. And Jenny Doe is part of the same group, not same group, same domain, but it's part of employee group. And Jenny will be working as a read only user and part of employee group. So this is configured in the Active Directory. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure we definitely need to verify if those groups are added here. So my Active Directory is integrated, my groups have been added, employee and engineer, so I'm good from the identity store perspective. Now it's time for me to configure policy elements and policy sets. So let me configure policy element. So I'll first create a read only policy element, profile. So let me create read only. I'll enable 14. Now why am I configuring 14, right? If you see TACACs deployment guide of Cisco, you can see here read only user restrictions. I have already explained users with the privilege 1 to 14 will only able to view monitor tab, and it will be working as read only users. Only privilege 15 will have full access. So I have configured read only profile with privilege 14. I'll configure another profile which is read write profile, and that will have privilege 15. Okay, so let me configure privilege 15, max as privilege 15. All right, and then I'll create a command set. So one is our read only command set. I'll add commands, permit, show, wildcard, and I'll also add debug just for a testing. It is up to you to decide what command you're going to allow for read only user. So this is a read only command set, and then I'll configure read write command sets. So I'm not adding command list. Any command which is not listed is permitted. Okay, so everything is permitted ideally. So I created command set, I configured profile, and now it's time for me to create a policy set. Now what I'll do is I'll create one policy set. Let's configure that as a wireless TACACs, and then I'll put a condition. Let's add device type and wireless because my controller is part of wireless group, so I'll use that. And then I'll configure device admin, and then I'll save. I need to save for every step, yeah. And then I'll go and configure authorization policy. So let me quickly do that. So first is read only users. I'll create a condition, and then I'll add external group, and the group, let's say read only. So employees, use, and then I'll configure read only command set and read only profile. What will happen is, because Jenny is the user who is part of employees, if I log in into the controller with Jenny Doe as a username, Jenny should be able to get only show command access, but nothing more than that. So I will save this. All right, and then I'll create one more. In fact, I need to, okay, read write users. I'll configure external group, engineer, and then I'll use this read write, save it, and that is it. It's so simple and straightforward. I just created two policy sets and mapped those TACAC profiles under those corresponding policy sets. Now I have done the config. I have done the global config of controller as well. Now it's time for me to apply that config and see exactly if it works fine. Alright, so let me configure or apply the config on the line VTY as well as on the HTTP. Yeah? So config T line VTY 015, and then I would configure login authentication TACAC auth, and then authorization TACAC authorization name, which is my method list name, and then I configure command 0 TACAC author, same command with command 1, and sorry, same command with command 15. Alright, so I configured a line VTY. Now let me configure HTTP as well. I'll apply for GUI, so I'll HTTP authentication AAA and the login authentication TACAC auth. Then I'll configure authorization TACAC authorization, and that is it. This is all what I have configured for TACACs, right? Now I applied the config. Now if I log in into the new session, I should be able to get in with the TACAC credential only. But just before that, what I want to do is I want to do a packet capture and see exactly if we are, or let's initiate TCP dump in the ICE and see exactly how ICE is actually, if we are able to find privilege levels and each command wise what ICE is actually generating as authorization privilege levels. All right, so I'll initiate a TCP dump. I'll initiate this, start. So I have started, it's running, and now what I'll do is I'll log in into the session now. Let's give a try by logging into controller by local credential. I shouldn't be able to log in. Let me enter my password of local credential, and it is not. So it is successful. I'm not able to log in. It is asking me username and password, but it doesn't take. Now I'll enter my TACAC credentials. So I will enter as read-only user, Genito, password. Okay, I'm in, and if I give show privilege, you can see here I'm actually getting privilege level 14. All right, so that's the confirmation that I'm actually read-only user. Let me see if I am able to execute commands of show commands. So yes, I am getting this detail. Let me see. Yes, I am also able to run this command, show logging. Yes, I am able to get show logging as well. Okay, show running config, show running config, we have all show running config. No, it is not. So I'll we will troubleshoot this, because this has got in C9800 controller show running config or startup config. It has got a different privilege because controller need to fetch the configuration from file, one of the file where the privilege level is different, and that's where it is not allowing me to, you know, execute this command. But otherwise, rest of the command, it is very much working fine. Now let me log in with the admin user who has got privilege level 15 and execute show run there. So it's John Doe. I'm already in. Show run. Yes, I'm able to get in. So I'm getting output of show run. And what's my privilege level? Yes, it is current privilege level 15. So I'm good here. What else I need to check? Show IP interface brief, show WLAN summary, config T, all good. Let's verify in the GUI now and give a try. So I'll first log in with read-only user, Jenny Doe. So yes, I'm in, and as you can see, I'm able to get only two options. One is dashboard to view and another is monitoring tab, where I could see, you know, I can actually check the client details. I can check wireless related stuff, like, you know, I can get a AP statistic information, service related data or security related data, like you know, all my radius logs or details about AAA, and also system related data. But other than that, I'm not getting configuration tab or any other tab where I can do some changes in the controller config. So let me log out with the read only and log in with the read write user access. So John Doe, and I'll enter username and password. I'm in with the read write username, and you can see here I can get a full access. I can go for a config. For example, if I want to disable WLAN, I can definitely disable. Yes, I'm able to disable. Re-enable it. All good. So I think it works fine as expected, and as it is mentioned in this guide. So all looks good. Now let's quickly verify TCP dump, isn't it? So let me stop this. Okay, stop in progress. But in meantime, what we can do is we'll execute this command, show TACACs, and see exactly how the output looks like. So I am right now show privilege. I'm working as John Doe user. Show TACACs. As you can see with this command, I'm getting output as how many packets have gone or received on controller, how many have failed. As of now, all looks good. No issues at all. Let's see if TCP dump is been stopped. Refresh. Yes, it is completed. Now if I download this file, looks like we are good. We can see here TCP dump has got communication, yeah, TACAC packets. Alright, so let me filter this, isn't it? TCP dot port is equal to 49. Let's filter, and we can see it's a TCP communication. First authentication packet, and as you can see, it's a DevNet. We tried with the local username, and same password. This one is for different user, isn't it? So let's give a try. Let me filter this as well, yeah. Apply as a filter and select it. Okay, this is much better to verify. This is for DevNet. Password has been sent. Authentication failed. You can see TACAC is rejecting the local user credential. Now this is again DevNet. We don't want to see here. Authentication failed. Okay. All right. So you can see here. What's the username? Jenny Doe. We tried the first attempt with Jenny Doe, which is read-only user, and you can see the communication from controller to ICE. ICE comes back saying that give me a password, and then controller sends back the password. You can see here, don't tell anyone, and then I get authentication pass, and after that authorization. So you can see here I'm getting authorization with the privilege level 1, and then I get a privilege level 14 as a reply from ICE. So all looks good. If we want to see further for a different user, I think this is for John Doe. Yeah, John Doe, send password. I don't want to show you this password. Authentication passed, and you can see here privilege level we want to verify. So let's say ICE is replying privilege level 15. So this is how it looks good. Privilege level perspective, all looks good, and further you can see all accounting messages and all. So I think this is all what I want to show in this lab. I hope you're comfortable now with the TACAC integration with C9800. Thanks for watching.